An axe, a tree, and a job that would completely transform two lives. This is the moment where it all began. This is where this young couple's dream starts to become reality. Building an entire cabin using only hand tools. No chainsaws, no electric drills, no modern machines of any kind. Just timber from the forest, taken from their own land, forgotten building techniques, and raw human strength. This isn't just the story of a build. It's the documentation of how an ordinary couple walked away from city life and turned themselves into builders, learning nearly lost trades and rediscovering abilities that modern society made us forget. The first real task of this journey, felling the trees that will become the walls of their future home. The technique is ancient, cutting a directional notch at the base of the trunk to control the fall. But theoretical knowledge is one thing. Executing it with a long-handled axe when one mistake can be fatal is something else entirely. Felling a tree is only the first step. The real work is just beginning. Every log has to be completely debarked. The draw knife strips off long ribbons of bark, revealing the pale wood underneath. It's repetitive, physically demanding, and absolutely necessary. Any bark left behind attracts insects that would destroy the structure in just a few years. And every log has to be moved by hand from where it fell to the building site. No tractors, no trailers, just coordinated strength and determination. A log home might look rustic, almost primitive, but its foundation has to be mathematically precise. A single centimeter out of level multiplies across the entire structure, leading to crooked walls and serious structural issues. Deep holes are dug, deep enough to go below the frost line. It's manual digging, repetitive, exhausting. But the foundation isn't just about digging. The concrete has to have the exact right consistency. Each cardboard tube serves as a temporary form for a cylindrical concrete pier. The technique is simple, but the execution takes care. The concrete has to fill evenly with no air pockets that would weaken it. The rebar, a green-ribbed steel rod, is inserted into the center while the concrete is still wet. Later, the log beams will be drilled and slipped down over these rods, mechanically locking the structure to the foundation. When the cardboard form is peeled away, the pier is revealed. Perfectly cylindrical, smooth surface, positioned exactly where it needs to be. Aligned piers form a perfect square, each one level with the others. They're what will carry tons of timber. This is the difference between professional and amateur building. It's not about speed or fancy tools. It's about relentless precision in the basics, even when no one will ever see that work once the house is done. Building with logs is fundamentally different from building with dimensioned lumber. Dimensioned lumber is uniform, predictable, easy to work with. Logs are organic, irregular, every one unique. The technique shown here is called scoring, making perpendicular relief cuts before removing large amounts of wood. A blue chalk line runs lengthwise down the log. Using a broad chisel and mallet, deep perpendicular cuts are made along that line. The extra cuts are made because wood isn't a dead, inert material. It has grain, internal stresses, weak spots around knots. Without relief cuts, it splits unpredictably. With them, it breaks exactly where the builder wants. The result is a round log turned into a beam with one perfectly usable flat face. Hand hewing that does the same job as a sawmill, just using muscle and refined technique. With the flat face down, the log now works as a structural beam, stable, with all the strength of a round log, but with a flat surface to build on. The draw knife removes the final imperfections, quick, rhythmic strokes, push, pull, thin wood chips falling.
It's work a medieval craftsman would recognize instantly. But old techniques combine with modern planning. The rebar sticking up from the concrete pier needs a matching hole in the log beam. The hand auger drills hardwood with surprising precision. No electricity, just elegant mechanics, leverage multiplying human force through simple gears. Here's where design meets execution. The beam slides down over the pier, the rebar guides into the hole, and the weight of the wood settles firmly into its permanent place. Over time, the couple masters more techniques. Notching, carving saddle notches that lock perpendicular logs together without metal fasteners. Scribing, using a bubble-level scribe to transfer the exact contour of one irregular log onto another.
If you're enjoying this video, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. It's quick. Just click the button below and hit the bell. Your support means a lot to me. Thank you.
Doweling, drilling vertically through multiple logs and driving in wooden pins for extra locking. Mortise and tenon, creating box and tongue joints used in fine carpentry for millennia.
Each technique represents centuries of refined knowledge. Math turned into art. Physics applied through simple tools. And now passed on through painful, persistent practice to two modern builders relearning what was almost lost. With the floor frame complete, a solid grid of log beams covered with OSB sheets forming a flat, strong surface, the first courses of walls start going up. For the first time, the structure actually looks like a house. Every new log has to be scribed. Its bottom contour must match the top contour of the log below exactly. The bubble-level scribe transfers that irregular geometry with millimeter precision. Then wood is carefully removed with a handsaw and axe until a fit is created that hugs the lower log perfectly. When the upper log is flipped and dropped onto the one below, it creates a tight, locked joint with no gaps. As the build progresses, the work gets harder, but instead of giving up, they adapt. They develop new systems. They use physics in their favor, levers, inclined planes, the partial structure itself as scaffolding and support to climb higher. And log by log, problem solved by problem solved, the walls keep rising. The floor frame is reinforced with cross joists placed over the main beams, forming a strong structural grid. Critical details are built in. The door frame, for example, isn't rigidly fixed to the logs. It floats inside the wall opening because greenwood shrinks. During the first year, the entire cabin will drop a few inches vertically as the logs lose moisture and compress under weight. A fixed frame would be crushed. A floating frame lets the wall settle around it without damage. The visible gap at the top isn't a mistake. It's sophisticated planning. It's compression space. It's thinking not about how the structure looks today, but how it will behave over the next few decades. To ensure the walls stay vertically stable, long drill bits bore through the stacked logs, and wooden dowels are driven in and hammered home, locking the layers together without metal nails. A sharp axe trims the top face of installed logs, creating flat surfaces for the next logs or structural elements to rest on. As the work advances, the sidewalls reach full first floor height, finally allowing them to stand literally inside the house, with walls around them, with windows framing forest views. With the walls complete, the next challenge, the roof. Up to now, everything has been horizontal or vertical, level or plumb, relatively straightforward. But roofs are sloped, high, and inherently dangerous. A fall from several meters onto forest floor full of rocks and roots can be fatal. First priority, safety. Internal scaffolding is built. Raised platforms made of cross logs supported by the walls, with OSB sheets on top, allowing work at height without relying only on precarious balance. The gable end studs, the vertical triangular frames at each end that will support the ridge beam, have to be perfectly plumb. 1 degree off plumb multiplies across the entire roof structure. Checking plumb on a tall post while balancing on scaffolding, with the wind swaying everything slightly, is both technically challenging and psychologically intimidating. Temporary wooden braces, shaped like giant French cleats, hold the posts in the correct position while they're fastened. But nothing compares to the challenge of the ridge beam. One long, heavy piece that has to be lifted high and positioned precisely on top of the support posts. The hoisting system is planned carefully. Every failure point is identified. Ropes are tested. Knots are checked multiple times. The logs are cut with a bird's mouth notch at the bottom to sit firmly on the top wall log. Each rafter is secured with giant spikes hammered through the wood. When the last rafter goes in, the transformation is dramatic. From a distance, the complete roof skeleton rises above the log cabin surrounded by forest. It's no longer a box of logs, it's clearly a house. With a handsaw, the overhanging rafter tails are trimmed, aligning the eaves so they're straight and even. Large sheets of plywood start covering the rafter framework. They're passed up from below, and the person positioned on the sloping roof nails them to the rafters, creating a solid base for waterproofing. Structurally, the cabin is complete. There are walls, a roof, openings for doors and windows. Technically, it's a habitable shell. A blue synthetic membrane is unrolled and cut to size. Using safety ropes because of the height and slope, the couple installs the membrane over the roof plywood, unrolling it horizontally and fastening it down, ensuring waterproofing. Green metal edge trim is installed along the lower edge as drip edge and flashing. Vertical wood strapping is nailed over the membrane, aligned with the rafters below. This creates an air gap for ventilation before the final roofing goes on. Long sheets of green metal roofing are hoisted up. They're passed from below, sliding over the strapping already in place. The work is repetitive and requires care with the sharp metal edges. Rubber washered screws ensure a watertight seal. Molded foam closure strips are installed under the ridge and along the edges, filling the corrugations of the metal panels, keeping out insects, birds, and debris. Green metal flashing is installed along the roof edges to protect the wood from rain and wind. The man bends and shapes the metal by hand for a clean, functional finish. The ridge cap, the inverted V metal profile that covers the joint where the two roof slopes meet at the top, is installed. A caulking gun applies red silicone sealant at critical roof joints for extra waterproofing. Thick rock wool insulation bats are installed between the floor joists. The material is cut and fitted tightly into the bays for thermal comfort. Over the insulation, a large sheet of clear plastic serves as a vapor barrier, covering the entire floor. It's stapled down and seams are sealed with construction tape. Thick plywood sheets are installed over the vapor barrier, screwed into the joists below to create the final subfloor you can walk on. The heavy cast iron wood stove is carried inside and its placement is tested. To protect the wood floor from heat, a special base is built using stones found on the property itself. The irregular flat stones are laid like a puzzle to create a rustic, fireproof finish. The gaps between the stones are filled with more mortar, smoothed with a small trowel. The base is ready. The heavy cast iron wood stove is lifted and carefully positioned on the stone base, centered for the chimney installation. Working in the loft, dimensioned lumber is measured and cut to frame things out. Plywood sheathing is nailed to the triangular gable walls from the inside, and window boxes are built for the future attic windows. White vinyl window units are installed in the prepared openings in the log walls. Shims level them and screws fasten the windows to the floating frames. For a clean, aesthetic finish, the protruding log ends at the cabin corners are trimmed. A pruning saw cuts vertically, leaving all logs with the same overhang length. A protective finish is applied to the exterior log walls. The wood takes on a richer golden tone as the product is brushed on. Wood trim is installed around the windows on the outside, covering the joint between window and logs. Sealant is applied generously to the cut log ends at the corners, a critical area to prevent moisture absorption and rot. On the roof, a wooden jig and pencil mark the exact spot where the chimney will pass through. Tin snips cut the metal roofing, creating an opening. From inside the loft, a reciprocating saw cuts the plywood ceiling sheathing, completing the pass-through hole. A black square ceiling support box is installed in the opening. The box is carefully leveled so the chimney will rise perfectly vertical and fasten to the roof structure. On the ground, sections of insulated stainless steel chimney pipe are connected. A drill makes pilot holes, and rivets or screws join the sections for safety. The long assembled pipe is carried to the roof and inserted through the opening, connecting to the support box. To waterproof the pipe penetration through the metal roof, a flexible rubber flashing with a moldable aluminum base is installed. The base is shaped to the roof profile, and a thick bead of red silicone sealant is applied under the edge for a watertight seal against rain. To stabilize the tall chimney against wind, a guy wire support kit with telescoping metal arms is assembled, clamping to the pipe and screwing the bases to the metal roof, with silicone under the screws to prevent leaks. Inside, the black stovepipe is connected to the ceiling support box. The telescoping section is adjusted to fit perfectly into the wood stove outlet. Chisel and gouge carve square mortises into thick logs that will serve as porch beams. The couple works in front of the cabin. Large horizontal logs are placed on stone footings. Vertical posts are fitted into these beams using the carved mortises to lock the structure. The porch deck framing is built and covered with deck boards, creating a stable work platform. Tall vertical posts and heavy cross beams that will support the porch roof are installed. Ratchet straps hold logs temporarily while they're fastened. A large wooden mallet is used to pound the logs and seat the joints tightly. Log rafters are lifted and positioned over the porch frame, extending the cabin roof to cover the outdoor area. Deck boards are nailed over the rafters, creating the base for the roofing. The ends of the porch beams are cut into a decorative curved shape, adding an aesthetic touch to the entrance. Vertical wood boards are installed on the lower half of the porch walls. Black screen is stapled across the upper porch openings. The screen is stretched and fastened to the wood frame. A simple screen door is built and hung at the porch entrance for ventilation. The porch floor is installed. A compass is used to scribe the rounded contour of a log post onto a floorboard. A hand jigsaw cuts the marked curve, making the board fit perfectly around the base of the post. Inside the cabin, the entire ground floor wood floor is sanded to remove imperfections and prepare it for finish. Varnish is poured directly onto the floor and spread with a wide applicator, sealing the wood and enhancing its natural color. The floor takes on a satin sheen that reflects the golden sunset light. After covering the sheathing with the blue waterproof membrane, the green metal roofing is installed. Gray chinking mortar is applied in the gaps between the horizontal logs. A blue rain barrel is installed, connected to the metal roof gutter, providing a supply of non-potable water. The cabin was built with tools that would have been completely familiar to builders in 1725. Ancient techniques applied by modern hands. The physical transformation is obvious. Muscles developed through constant use, a tiny structure in a vast forest. But for the two who built it, it's far more than wood and nails. It's tangible proof of capability. It's reconnection with fundamental human skills. It's independence earned through sustained effort. In a world where most accomplishments only exist on screens, there's something deeply satisfying about creating something physical, permanent, and real. And that was today's video. If you enjoyed following this step-by-step transformation and want to see more detailed projects like this, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. See you in the next one.